good. So we're gonna have to replace this one, but the rest of them have been adjusted, and I think that was adjusted as well. So, all right. So there's a little bit of feedback on mine, but I will do my best to speak loud enough where everyone can hear me. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. Roll call will reflect that all members of the mayor and council are present this evening. And we will get into a discussion of our agenda items for tonight. Under presentations, Carolyn Ralph is the president of the Exchange Club, is under the weather with flu. So we will delay the firefighter and police officer. We will have a recognition of the football team, the Temple Charter Career Academy football team tonight. We have on the Dogwood Drive project, due to the adverse weather conditions and other issues, Tri-Scapes is seeking a time extension. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Lee, you want to give us the rundown on that?
Contractors asked for that extension. They obviously had some delays with Hurricane Irma. They lost it because of all the power outages down through there and telephone poles laying in the street. And they've had 2 snow events. That's what they're requesting. Feel free to shorten it, whatever you feel is appropriate. We've done 5 of these pretty much. I've only had 1 federal grant that's finished on time, usually due to weather or circumstances like that. So, whatever you want to grant.
Questions on that, council?
Canada was 58 days of rain. So if you were to provide an extension just based off of that, just for y'all to keep in mind, that would be April 5th instead of May 23rd. So that's not the date I'm in favor for. Just letting you know.
Does that include the days, because I know it has to be between, what, 45 and 50 pour concrete?
You know, that's a good point. That's another thing. They had a lot of cold days where they couldn't pour concrete, so that affected them too.
Because I was just curious, the days that are listed for utilities, there's no breakdown of days because of weather. That would help with a reasonable extension for me. I just saw the 38 days, but I would have to physically go back and look at the weather, see exactly how many days that would be.
It listed rainfall, that's the only thing I saw. They got a breakdown of rainfall per day. That was the only thing provided. As a follow-up, what was the original date under the current contract where liquidated damages kick in?
March 1st.
Also, I know you have an itemized list here of incorrect identification of things. Who's responsible for identifying those items?
This is something the contractor submitted, like you're talking about on the days, which utility conflict or?
Or the one that's Dogwood Utility Conflict Law? Yes.
Yes. I mean, these, basically when they say utility conflict, what that is when they put the storm drain in, we locate everything that we know of because our infrastructure is so old. They're always running into extra sewer lines or water lines they didn't know were in there. So a lot of times they have to stop, cap that all.
So they resolve that.
Yeah, so the utility part of it, we knew going into this, that would be the toughest part of it, would be utilities. And trying to put a storm drain in there, that was pretty difficult. But so that they did go over on that time, but we kind of expected that.
Okay.
What phase of the project are they currently sitting on?
They actually today, they have demoed all the way to Archery Brewery, so they're making pretty good headway. I would say they're halfway through, almost, probably. So they've got to pour that this week. And then hopefully, things will go a little smoother.
More rain coming.
Because now you're in a straightaway, so.
And then with the extension that they requested, have they provided an updated timeline of what will be completed during that?
They actually did before they did the extension, but they had only asked for the end of April, which I think that's reasonable pretty much. I don't know about May. But they asked for May, the end of May too, so. You might could do a progress if you decided to want to see some kind of progress and then extend it further, if maybe that goal or something.
Do we have a Gantt chart of identified milestones per se? By what date this should be done, that should be done?
They have an original schedule, but they had to change it 2 or 3 times because of the weather. So that date keeps getting pushed back. The last one we got scheduled was finished at the end of April. April the 30th.
Oh.
I think it's pretty reasonable for the 30th.
For the contract with Jack Burnside, what oversight, and this is just sort of being new, what's the sort of delineation of responsibilities for oversight?
His is contract administration, Davis Bacon wage requirements, things like that, interviews on wages and things like that. But pretty much nothing day to day as far as that is concerned.
He's more compliance.
Right.
All right, any other questions on that? All right, next item up is consideration and action for a request for credit card limit. Used to be increased to 15,000. City currently has a credit card with Regions Bank with a $10,000 limit. The card is used where a card is necessary or due to time constraints. Right now, monthly use runs between 2,000 and 7,000 from time to time. The 10,000 limit restricts our flexibility. I know that long-term, we talked about maybe going to the P-card direction. So I think this would, down where you look at this as a stopgap.
Yes, I mean, we need to basically kind of have a process to get from here to there. So we need to increase flexibility right now with the, just an increased limit.
Any questions or comments on each side?
And that increased limit applies to the sort of secondary item, since both of these are sort of.
That's correct. Yeah, they go hand in hand. You know, one thing I'm trying to do is pretty much save seconds. I've learned a long time in business, you really can't save chunks of time, but it is quite inconvenient when the card is out and another department head needs to use one. And if my department heads can't handle a card, then I need different department heads.
I guess, one of my questions was, what's the protocol if a department head needs to use the credit card? Is it a purchase that has to be pre-approved? Because to me, I was thinking, to me, the more people who have access to it increases liability for those people. And that was my biggest concern.
For example, there may be travel. For example, there may be repairs, automobile repairs that we may not have a contract with, but we need to get something done immediately. And so each group, if for Parks and Recs, there may be a particular event where we have to pay for food by a car. So those are some of the items that actually just may happen.
With Regions, can you do a 15,000 limit for the city clerk, city manager, and then set the other department heads at a different rate?
Actually, what I want is the entire account capped at $15,000. So it's not 15 each. The entire account would be capped at $15,000.
Okay.
Each one would have probably about a $2,000 limit. But I just want to make sure that if one group has a card out,
Sure.
then another group doesn't have to wait, or they don't have to come to me or the clerk in order to get something done.
Right.
So how soon do you see us being able to transition to the actual P card?
We should probably be able to do that within 6 months.
Why would it take so long?
I've got to evaluate it. I mean, I'm giving an outside guess on that.
Have you, reached out to anyone yet about that transition?
I have not reached out to them yet.
Because I have a contact, just from my research number,
Okay.
404-657-6000. Just to kind of get a more concrete estimate of how long that would take. Because I think that's a long time.
Well, the one thing we gotta remember is we're running really short staffed at finance right now. Tim, as acting city manager, we don't have any backup at finance other than you, so that's all. Yeah, I can understand why it might take a little long, but I agree, the sooner the better.
And that contact, is that Bank of America, who's that?
Yeah, that's for the contact for the statewide contract with Bank of America. Because I'm just foreseeing if the sooner we can get it established, that should hopefully reduce the need for emergency spending and for the need for multiple people to need access to one credit card.
So are we going, is this something that I need to come back to council with for an official
Well, I
determination?
don't think the council has officially informed you to do that. I know it was part of our discussion, but I don't know that we've actually, I don't know if we need to take a vote, but I think it was a consensus, but I don't think the council said officially do it, but,
I would like to say officially do it.
okay. So if it's a consensus of council for them to move forward with the P card,
I can't vote on that, so.
pardon?
Just do the delineation of responsibilities between my state job.
Okay.
So,
The accounts are at Regions, all the accounts?
No, the P card would be with Bank of America,
Right.
They have to train.
for the transfer.
Where's the general fund account?
Regions.
Okay. Then why don't you reach out and see what the protocol, what the timeframe is, and come back with some kind of idea of what the implementation is.
I'll have that for the next meeting.
Thank you.
And so is that something y'all wanna consider the limit increase tonight, or you just wanna hold off on all that until we get some kind of idea on the card?
I'm okay with the limit being adjusted. I see those as two different tracks, really.
yeah, I'm okay with discussing it as well.
One question.
Okay.
And so the same would apply to the additional users, if y'all are okay with that. All right, next item up is City of Atlanta 911 radio payment. For the past decade or so, we have contracted with the City of Atlanta to provide our two-way radio service for our police department. Years back, we were on the Fulton County system, and the Fulton County system was an analog system, and we had a big hole in our coverage in this area. So we negotiated a pretty good deal with Atlanta at the time, and for 2016, they were charging us $142 per radio. Well, we got a bill for the upcoming year.
So that's 17.
17, that's right, I'm sorry, yeah, for 2017. So for 2018, they decided they're gonna charge us $899 per radio. And that's ludicrous. So, Chief, you've reached out to Clayton County, I believe you said.
Yes, Mayor, as soon as we got that bill, we immediately scrambled to try to give ourselves some options. And we're hoping right now that between Fulton County, who has revitalized their entire system.
Yeah, they're digital now.
Very robust, statewide, it would be a great option for us at about half of the cost of what Atlanta is proposing right now, which is still quite a bit more than what we were originally paying. The other option would be with Clayton County, which we're working with them right now too to try to get that. Personally, right now, I hope that the Clayton County option comes through, because what it would require of us would be to put some infrastructure in, and there would be no reoccurring costs to be on the system. So we would actually be a partner with them in the infrastructure, which I understand is going to be some sort of,
Probably a little
boosting.
heater,
Yes.
heater of some sort.
Yeah, so, and I've heard numbers that could run close to the $100,000 mark that Atlanta's asking for annually. Hopefully, that's not the case. But to me, even if that is the case right now, that's a one-time cost forever with that. And so we wouldn't have this problem again in the future. But again, we're entertaining both of those options. Hopefully, I'll have something to bring back to you all, something concrete soon. We're actually testing the frequencies for Clay County and Fulton County as we speak.
Now, with Clay County and Fulton County, we have the interoperability between agencies.
We do, and currently, we actually do now. So, I mean, it's, the transition for us should be very easy.
Just reprogram already.
Exactly.
I remember the previous city manager, Mr. Whitson, probably in January or February of last year, had brought up the need for new radios. Is that still a stated need?
Yes, ultimately, the radios that we're carrying, they're outdated. And in fact, mid this year, they will probably be unserviceable in that there will not be parts available.
Okay.
Other than things like eBay. Believe it or not, we've done some things where we've actually reached out, found some parts on eBay things. So I'm hoping within the PD, we have some options at least for the next year or so. But absolutely, we've definitely got to put that on our radar to start moving towards that. I think the fire department is in a little worse condition than we are. I think they have a more immediate need for the radios right now.
Question though, so like if you went the Clayton County route, would that same hertz still? Yes. Okay.
Everything that we have is 800 megahertz. Clayton County is, I don't know the exact number, but it's in the 700 range, which is a law enforcement specific range. Very robust, and I understand that it's actually has less interference in this area than the 800 megahertz does. So,
So we'll have a comparable functionality.
yes, yeah, the radios that we have will be able to be programmed on either system that we're able to go to Fulton County or with Clayton County.
Is there any possibility with the policing authority over the Atlanta airport being APD that we could do prioritized placement of signals on the northern edge of the airport, which happens to be Hapeville, in return for reduced cost?
Atlanta doesn't seem to want to negotiate or talk to us about anything. In fact, we were
This
caught
bill came out
on
of
this
the blue,
bill.
yeah.
There was no even lead up to this. So they literally just tossed this thing on us and said, here you go, I need you to pay that.
And I got a
No
question.
communication.
A question about the out of the blue thing too, because I just thought it was interesting that although the date timestamped by Mr. Anthony Beard was January 16th, that the dates on said invoices were October 19th of 2016 and October 30th of 2017.
Right.
So were they just sitting in their coffers, ready to shoot out when they got a new mayor?
Apparently so.
Okay.
Yeah, I can only assume, because again, there was no communication. They literally just came in at the same time. And, yeah, there's no blue. So.
So you currently continuing to be in this network though, so
We are.
obviously you're going to be incurring some of these higher costs.
Right, and what we're recommending tonight, of course, is to pay the $16,000, which is a little bit of an increase from last year. And yes, I agree, and I don't know what those numbers will be exactly, but I'm quite sure that there will be some additional cost to it.
You're gonna have at least a couple of
before we can make this move. So we're trying to act as quickly as possible to make that. And I think the move, talking to both Fulton County and Clayton County, if approved on either side, we should be able to make the transition literally within about a week. So they'll come down, they'll do the programming for radios, and we'll be off and running.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions on the radio?
So the $101,000 is for fiscal year 19? Okay.
All right, we'll keep us posted on that, chief. We'll bring it up in discussion.
Sorry, again, so why do they charge so early for fiscal year 19?
Well, this says 18.
Okay, so
I mean, it's calendar year.
calendar year
So
18,
we got a
January to December.
overlap.
Okay, so City of Atlanta's asking us to encumber funds for another year?
I mean, this is a calendar year contract, is it not?
Yes, and it is, and quite honestly, yeah, there is some assumptions there.
Okay.
So,
I mean, maybe if the Clayton County deal works out, that we make that contract on a July to June basis instead of a.
Fiscal versus
Yeah,
calendar.
yeah, fiscal year. Next item up is an authorizing resolution, City of Hateville, 2017 municipal bonds, True Hotel. The Hateville Development Authority, True Hotel Project Series 2018.
Can't hear.
Steve?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, when the statutory development authority was established, we entered into an intergovernmental agreement with that development authority in which they covenanted that they would not issue bonds without the consent of the mayor and council. And so, as you know, the development authority is interested in completing a transaction for the True Hotel in the next coming few weeks. So they're presented before you tonight as a resolution, yea or nay, delivering your consent to that transaction.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this item?
Yes, sir. OCGA 36-62-2-6H6 reads hotel, motel facilities and lodging, which also may provide meals, provided that such facilities are constructed in connection with and adjacent to convention, sports, or trade show facilities. No project as defined by this division shall be exempt from any ad valorem taxation. And in particular, we go section 2A of the memorandum of understanding between the Development Authority. If you can pardon my progress real quick. Excuse me. Section 2.04 talks about ad valorem tax status of facilities. And looking at a little bit of case law, Alexander versus Macon-Bibb County Urban Development Authority and Urban Properties 47. Excuse me, that was Alexander versus Macon-Bibb County. And then also Alexander versus Macon-Bibb. There seems to possibly be a precedent in such that conference rooms and the adjacent properties to this property might be considered convention facilities. Such that as Solis 2, which has 6,500 square feet of facilities, as well as Porsche, albeit in Atlanta, also has corporate facilities, might make the MOU in its current standing null. So.
What say you, Mr. Fincher?
We've heard those arguments on.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it if you do.
Speak up.
Thanks.
Let's don't shout, okay?
I don't know how to say it any other way, I'm sorry.
Yes, we've heard those arguments promulgated by some folks on social media. We've looked into them. Our bond counsel is convinced that they're not solid arguments. Ultimately, we're not the ones who decide. A judge will decide whether or not those arguments are valid in the validation proceeding.
Any other questions or comments on this project?
Likewise, is it possible to get an independent analysis to arrive at the appraised value of the hotel as listed in the MOU?
Yes, it is.
Any other questions on this item?
I think foreseeing that as a future problem, maybe we should look into amending code to provide for an independent analysis to arrive at appraised values for future bonds, pilots, and other issues.
Normally that value is set on the front end of the transaction, so that was set when the previous council approved this concept.
Okay.
So my follow-up question to the independent evaluation is, who will be responsible for that?
Whoever you hire.
No, as far as cost.
Of the cost of getting that value? Guess we
Well, that would be a function of negotiating with the developer. We would try to put. the
Because
cost
I
on-
definitely don't want the citizens to incur that cost.
Right.
We would try to put the cost on the developer, and whether or not the developer would assume it would be part of the negotiation.
I think his MOU calls it, he clears the legal fees. So.
If a challenge.
If a challenge legal, but not actually- and that's something
that would be a
different.
legal challenge,
Gotcha.
not a challenge of value.
So question, we would choose who would assess the property, but the developer would pay. Is that what we're saying?
I think that's what we would.
That's
aim
what you would negotiate for.
Yeah.
That's what I prefer.
I was just clarifying that the developer's not choosing the assessor and paying.
Okay.
That's the line in the sand you draw. That's the line in the sand you draw.
Any other questions or comments on this one? Okay. Next item is surface and maintenance moratorium extension. At the May 2nd, 2017 council meetings, City Council amended the code of ordinances by amending Chapter 58 of Order 2017-09, which basically was to update and clarify how the city would address gravel parking lots. So staff recommends that we extend this moratorium for 6 months through July 31st, 2018 to allow mayor and council to discuss the review and execution of the current ordinance. Does anyone have any questions on this item?
More of a comment, just why I brought it back up via email, was sort of being prompted by both Hal and Heather, the co-owners of Drip Coffee Shop. They've oftentimes, before the previous, I guess it was in May of last year, or June, was passed, would use their artist alleyway abutting pea gravel lot for not only unloading their goods, but also parking their individual cars for the rest of the day. I mean, I think I'm approaching it from like looking at that perspective, so it could free up space for other parking on North Central. But I do understand that this is largely residential focused, so.
The main issue is a grandfather or not a grandfather, I believe is the main issue that we'll be dealing with. But I agree with extending the moratorium tonight. I think either a retreat or
You know, we need to go one way or the other.
we need to find a direction we want to go so far as the grandfather issue.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Next item is consideration action for the Play Everywhere Challenge Project Grant Recipient Agreement. Kaboom awards $13,000 to the city of April as part of their Play Everywhere Challenge. This project, Keen Play, will aid Kaboom in their efforts to incorporate play in the daily lives of kids by reimagining what and where a play space is and can be. Particularly the city of Hapeville has 2 sidewalks or crosswalks at corner of North Fulton Avenue and King Arm Street and North Fulton and Scout Street, which will be transformed into hopscotch sidewalks for kids to play as they travel to and from Hapeville Elementary School. The grant is no cost to the city. Anyone have any questions or comments about this item? Any, the only issue I would raise would just be safety concerns to make sure that we address the safety issue. So kids weren't playing in those areas at the time when it should be. Any other questions or comments on this item? Pardon?
Mayor.
Yeah.
She said I couldn't hear you.
Okay. I said, are there any questions on the Play Everywhere Challenge grant?
No.
Thank you. Next item will be tabled. Carolyn Wright, who's president of the James Club, is absent tonight with flu, so we will table action on that. Tonight we have some organizational appointments. We have city attorney, city clerk, solicitor, public defender, city's legal organ, or official publication. We can act on all or some or none of these tonight based upon the will of council. Any questions or comments on that?
I'd just like to be provided with the contracts for those, if they do have them.
Okay. Are there, any of these have contracts? I know the legal organ doesn't, but the official publication doesn't. Do we have a contract with the public defender?
Probably just the attorney.
Pardon? Chief, do we have a contract with the public defender?
Mayor, I almost feel like there is one. I've never seen it. Honestly, it could be with the judge.
If we could locate the solicitor and public defender contracts and make those available, if they do exist. All right, any other agenda items anyone wants to discuss tonight? Is there any old business to come for this work session tonight?
The minutes are on our agenda tonight, and I've made note with Adrian that there is an error in the January 9th, 7 p.m. So I suppose when we get to that, just need to make a note.
I have a few too.
Beg pardon?
I have a few as well.
Okay. On just various minutes?
Mhm.
Okay. This is a misprint, really, is what I brought to Adrian's attention.
I think you did approve the changes at the time.
Okay.
All right, any other old business? New business? City manager report, Tim?
One particular note, we got the draft of our audit, and so we should have our final audit report in probably 2 to 3 weeks, and we just have to get our management notes and data analysis done and returned. After that, we can do our state reporting, our GCA reporting and stuff. So we are, this kind of was a function that I was concerned about in changing orders this year, but we are well on our way to finally getting this all done. And then also I want to allow Ms. Charlotte to announce our new employee.
Yes. The Visitor Center officially opened on Thursday of last week. And this young lady, Yolanda DeVoe, is the Visitor Center associate. And based on a few days working with this young lady, we have to hire her.
Awesome. Very good.
Next time you'll have to stand up.
Ms. Charlotte, did you get the kiosk to work appropriately?
Well, we figured out how to punch. And we'll have to get the technician back in to fix it, so we don't have to jam it again. But it's working for her, and she does a wonderful job as her. I do want to add that the DMO covers with part-time Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we're working from 11 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. And we're working like crazy to try to cover Wednesday for that same time frame, so that we're actually open more than that time. So,
Awesome. Welcome aboard. Thank you. All right. Tim, any comments? If there's no other business for the work session, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, let us raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll reconvene at 7 p.m. for our 7 o'clock meeting. Thank you, folks.